So we're going to be talking about in the moment active bystanding as violence prevention. As Astrea mentioned, I'm Faith Fountain, and Savanna, if you want to say your name.
And I'm Savanna McKiney. So
okay. So we're going to be talking about violence prevention, and so in today's breakout session, if I can start it. In today's breakout session, we'll be discussing current events that could possibly be triggering to some. So we want to make sure to mention where those points are throughout our presentation. So we'll let you guys know when those things come about for you to be prepared. And if at any point you can like take a break or walk away from the thing if you need to.
Yeah, if at any point y'all need to just take a breather, it is being recorded, so if you need to come back and watch it and you can fast forward through the part, that's fine. And make sure you utilize the resources that Alex put in the comments as well, or in the chats as well. So
okay, so we're gonna do an icebreaker. I know a lot of people you're probably like, icebreaker, because we've done so many icebreakers during the breakout sessions. But what I would like for you guys to do in your chat box is, what is something that, a skill or a hobby that you guys picked up during this quarantine time? What is a skill or a hobby that you picked up that you probably like didn't do or couldn't do, but you learned during quarantine that you do now? So like one skill or hobby that I picked up is baking. I don't even know why I picked up baking, but I did. I made lawnmower cupcakes. And my boyfriend, he loves to bake, and he owns his little bakery shop and stuff. So he made fun of my lawnmower cupcakes because he thought it was a wagon, but it wasn't. It was definitely a lawnmower cupcake. So
I picked up canning because there is a group of Mennonites in our community that always raise these delicious strawberries every single year. And I think I made like 30 cans of strawberry jam because, quarantine had me bored. So let me look through and read some of these. Looks like a lot of people have taken up cooking, sewing, bullet journaling, fishing, playing guitar, customizing wigs. That is awesome.
Okay.
Harlow, we see you.
Give me a wig, girl.
Better at aquariums, taking care of plants, and making ice cream. That is a very fun one.
Wow.
That's one thing that I love to do in the summer. So that will come in handy when it gets even hotter than it is now. So
yeah, I need to pick up making ice cream. Of course, I would pick up some pounds too. Okay, thank you guys for sharing that. So we're gonna go ahead and like move on. So if we're gonna be talking about violence prevention and how to be an active bystander, we have to talk about what is an active bystander. What is an active bystander? So in the chat box, what we would like for you guys to do is to write what your definition is of an active bystander. What is your definition of an active bystander?
Okay, so one of our first responses is someone who intervenes in situations of violence, or observes a conflict was another answer.
Okay.
Both very good answers.
Awesome.
A person who steps in when others wouldn't. I really like that definition. Because it takes a lot for someone to step in a situation. I'm very introverted, so stepping in for me may not be a thing. So
yeah. Is there any more?
Being an active bystander is being brave in every situation. Oh, hold on. Lost it. Being an active bystander is being brave in every situation, intervening as soon as possible, even if people would judge them for it. That's very good.
Yeah.
So let me read a couple more and then we can move on.
Okay.
Someone who witnesses something wrong and steps in to help other people and tries to effectively intervene to prevent violence. That's a really good point, because effectively intervening is something that we, even after today, that hopefully if you know what you're doing already, as far as intervening, we can give you a few more tips and tools to do that.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for sharing so much. So what me and Savanna came up with, and for our definition of an active bystander, is an active bystander is someone who not only witnesses a situation, but takes steps to speak up or to step into to keep a situation from escalating or disrupt a problematic, man, I can't talk, situation. Okay. So throughout this presentation, we're going to be giving you tools to intervene in different situations. Situations such as sexual violence, bullying, and dating violence. So we all know that there are always people around that have experienced violence and wish that a bystander had stepped in. So after this breakout session, you'll learn how to overcome those barriers and find ways to intervene that are comfortable for you. So we just want you to remember that no one has to do everything, but everyone can do at least something.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to share a story. Me and Savanna, we're going to share a story about when we had to become or were active bystander. Just to kind of help you guys know, like, that anybody can be an active bystander, and kind of get you to feel like, relate to us.
So, like Astrid mentioned, my bio, I have two little ones. I have a 2-year-old little boy and a 1-year-old little girl. And before COVID-19 happened, we're in Walmart almost every day, because whether the kids needed something, I needed something for work, we just needed something from home. It never failed. We were always in there. And my husband works a lot, and he is also away for work a lot too. So most of the time it's just me and the kids. So there have been plenty of times. There's been one specific time. I live in a very small town. So usually whenever you see a couple out, you know the couple, or you have went to school with one of them and you kind of know their significant other, or vice versa. We were walking in Walmart and we noticed that there was a couple that walked in front of us that were kind of bickering a little bit. Nothing, too uncommon. I was too concerned with the kids really to do anything else. Well, they came out the same time that we did too. And like I mentioned, I'm really introverted. I don't like to intervene directly. I don't like to get directly involved in the situation. So they had parked down a couple spots from us. And, I'm putting the kids in the car, putting the groceries in the car. And I heard that their situation was escalating quite a bit. And it was just turning into some really mean and nasty comments. And I didn't want that situation to get further escalated than it already had. So I only had one of the kids, in the car. I took Caleb, my son, out and put him back in the cart and went back inside and got one of the managers and said, hey, there's something going on outside. I don't want to get involved, but it's something that needs to be dealt with right now. So even if you don't directly intervene, as long as you do something, you are still being actively involved in the situation. You are still being an active bystander. So what they did was the manager walked outside with me and he just asked, I think he made an excuse of like them leaving a bag at the checkout counter. It's like, hi, I think you left this, hey, is everything okay? And he checked in on the situation for me. So it gave me peace of mind knowing that something was going to be okay in that moment. I don't know what happened afterwards, but I had a better sense of peace knowing that something was taken care of in that moment. And that is what being an active bystander is about, is directly intervening in the situation at that time. So, and Now, Faith is going to share her story.
Okay, so I live like on a busy street, and I live like right behind the hospital, so there's always constantly cars going back and forth and people. I live down like right beside an alley, and there's actually people coming down here, so you might hear them yell and stuff. But it's always just busy, and I was actually on a Zoom call. And then I heard, while I was on the Zoom call, there was screaming. And I was like, what is going on with the screaming? Like, what's going on? So I ended the Zoom call, and come to find out, and it's right here, like the stop sign is 2 houses down from me. And someone had been kidnapped and dropped off at my block, or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. So this girl, she's like screaming. And so we all kind of, my neighbors, we all go down there and kind of check and see like what is going on, because there's hardly any screaming. And come to find out, this girl, she wasn't in her right mind. They had drugged her and everything, and put her on the end of my street. And I was like, oh my God, what do you do? What do you do? And so not only just myself, but my neighbors, we all went, and we took her to the hospital and got her some help. And so just in that time, and in that moment, it's like, what do you do? And I was able to help her, and not just myself, but other people were able to help her as an active bystander, be in that situation, and help her get the help she needs. So with that, we are just, hold on a second. We are all familiar with the current events that are going on today, and we're all familiar with this story. This guy, Ahmaud Arbery, and he's the guy to my left, and then the other 2 gentlemen, I don't know their names. Do you, Savanna?
I do not. They
something Michael, George and Michael, I think. I don't.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay. But we're all familiar with this story, and if you're not familiar with this story, pretty much just to kind of sum it up, this gentleman, Ahmaud, he went running and jogging that morning, and apparently the 2 gentlemen on the right of the screen had mistaken him, that he looked like another Black man that was in their town or something like that, and pretty much he was out like stealing stuff. And so they came up in their car or their truck, and they had mistaken Ahmaud for this other Black man, I guess, and they had shot him, and Ahmaud had died. But behind that, there was a person who was recording this. And the reason why we share that is because Savanna.
The reason that we share it is the gentleman that recorded it on Snapchat. Mm-hmm. And eventually it got onto social media. And this happened back in February, and it just became big at the beginning of May. Mm-hmm. So the reason that it is such importance of sharing, like, his story is one person decided to share the recorder's, I'm not sure what his name is, and the recorder's video. And that one person shared it, and it just kept going and going and going until it finally reached, mass social media websites and news channels. And now, due to the outcry of the public and people on media, those gentlemen are now in jail for murder.
Right. And so leading up to that, how it just takes one person, we wanted to share, what is a viral video? Because it's leading into why being an active bystander, and what that means as far as with social media goes. What a viral video is, a video that becomes popular through a viral process of internet sharing, typically through a video, sharing websites such as YouTube, as well as social media and email. So we wanted to show you like a video that went viral. I know everybody has to love cats and dogs. It always gives us a soft spot in our hearts, and it makes us oh, like that. So I just want you guys to watch this video real quick. Yeah, so that video went viral, and how we know it went viral is because it has 2 million hearts, 10,000 comments, and then
240,000 plus shares.
Okay, and with that, what I would like to say is like what Savanna said is with a viral video, like it just takes like one person to share that, and then it just goes like all over the world or all over social media. And just like prevention, it just takes one person to intervene, and then other people feel like they have the confidence to step in and to do something about it. So with Ahmaud Arbery's story, that person recorded it, and I think that he got charged for it, but he still recorded it because I don't think if it didn't get recorded, it took it like a few months for it to even be like for people to realize that this was happening. So if he didn't record that, then I don't think that it would have been so viral. So what can viral videos lead to? Savanna.
Nope. Sorry. Viral videos can lead to justice being brought to light. So like with that video, like you said, if it hadn't been recorded, you know, I live in Kentucky. So this happened in Georgia. I probably would have never even heard about it. And it is something that is so easy to do. So it just takes a few seconds to share a video. So that's all it takes. And possibly when a video is considered to go viral is when it has been shared, you know, multiple times. You know, the content in it it could be either funny, it can be super serious, like right now. We understand that with the murder of George Floyd, which we will get to here in a few slides, it was also a viral video. Viral videos aren't, you know, a cat dancing around all the time. It can be some really, really harsh topics, and we understand that. And that's why it's so important to intervene in different ways too. So social media is a way that you can intervene as well.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you some poll questions that's going to come up, and Ashria, you have those. And so we're just going to give you a few minutes to answer those.
And this is anonymous as well.
So. Yes. Thank you, Alex. Okay, I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to kind of finish up. Okay. So here are the polls. What do you use social media for the most? A lot of people said current events, and then in, I guess, second place would be keep in touch with old friends and family that you don't see on a regular basis. Okay. And then there's funny videos and make new friends. What do you frequently what do you frequently see on social media? So there's a tie between funny videos and political content, and then drama, empowering messages, make new friends. I don't know if I wrote that in the right order, but and then what do you do when you see something on social media that makes you want to intervene? The number one answer was I talk to my friends about it. Then report, post, or comment, and then share a post and add a positive message, and then post a funny meme or video to distract the negativity of that post or comment. Okay.
Good answers, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so the importance of social media. I'm gonna give it to Savanna.
All right, so the importance of social media is, like I mentioned before, it's a really good platform for you all to get involved. As youth, you probably wouldn't want to go up to like a 30 or 40 something year old couple and directly confront them. That's completely understandable. I'm 24 years old and hate like any kind of confrontation. So I understand. I like social media as well. Social media is a good way to keep in touch, like you all mentioned. My husband's military, so whenever he goes overseas, that's how we keep in contact, and that's how I keep up with current events too. Right now, there's a lot of just negative stuff on there, and it's hard to process sometimes. But social media is a really good way to intervene. So whether it is reporting a post that's just completely negative, posting something funny to to break up the hateful comments, or if just sharing positive posts. I was like, it's really important to get involved on social media. Okay. And how can you intervene? So what are some things that you could do to intervene? And if you all don't care, answer in the chat box. It can be anything like I mentioned, getting directly involved, doing something like asking someone else to step in, anything like that. We'll take a minute or so to do that.
I know for me, when I try to intervene on social media, I try not to be negative or put the other person's like opinion down, because like that's their point of view of it. But I like just try to be more encouraging, I guess, and try to help them to realize, like, is that something that you would say like in real life, like to someone's face, or are you just saying it like,
or how would you feel if someone said that to you? So
yeah. But I feel like, being as far as like being an active bystander with social media, it's a little hard. It's not easy. But I feel like there is something, like you can say something or do something with that.
So it looks like some of the responses that we're getting, ask them a question, break their argument. So cause a distraction. Tell an adult, walk over to the conflict and try to calm the people involved. When I intervene, I normally go directly to the source of the problem and try to diffuse the situation the best that I can. That's a very good response. Let me find something different. I try to talk people through events, politely debate different opinions, report videos of fight or hate, and try to provide facts to change opinions I find morally incorrect. That is a fantastic answer. Read a couple more. I try to repost information that gives information to help clear the situation and making my message clear. Good job. Report the post and then post something positive on your account that could bring a positive light to the situation. That could change their opinion on it while not making it directly about the situation or being petty about it.
Right.
Yeah, I said I'd read like this one come in as very good. Then we can go on. Never scroll past something that could be used for advocacy towards empowerment. Always repost or send it to someone. That is definitely 1000% correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, either way, some people still don't feel comfortable stepping in, and that's okay. So even if you chose not to do something, then it's okay, because you're a human being and we all react to different situations differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means that even when you don't feel comfortable stepping in, something is stopping you from stepping in, and those things are called your barriers. And we all have barriers. So some people may not want to do anything or don't feel comfortable doing anything. And you know what? That's okay. So my job is to be a green dot prevention educator. And what that is like I go into the schools and I'm telling all these young people, hey, we can intervene this way. If you see something, do something. Yeah, and then my life is my job is all about like prevention. And even when I'm not like on the job, it's still my heart. And so I still want to like prevent violence from happening to anyone. And so I was at this conference today. Sorry, my son is walking in there. Not right now. Go. Sorry. So I was at this conference, and pretty much like there was like it's like a square, and people could come around to your table. And so I had a green dot table set up. And I noticed far from me, probably like 5 tables down, there was this couple, and it was a man and a woman, and the woman had her head down. And I just kind of watched for a little bit, and I thought that was odd that the woman walked with her head down. And when she put her head up, the guy, he was like, put your head down, don't look, don't do this, don't do that. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the only one that was like looking and like being like, oh my God, like, wow. And so in my mind, I'm like, man, I got to do something. I have to do something. I have to say something, because it's not right of how this man is treating this woman. So eventually, they're coming to my table. They're getting ready to come to my table. They're 2 tables away from me now. And in my mind, I'm gonna say something to this guy. I'm gonna help this lady. I'm gonna do all these things. And so they get to my table, and you know what I do? I give this lady a pamphlet, and I said, here you go. Have a nice day. And I felt horrible, because I was like, oh man, I had it. You know how you can have something planned, or you say something in your mind and you're like, man, I'm going to say this. And when the time comes for you to say it, you don't say it. It doesn't come. And so that was me. I just kind of choked up, and I came across my barriers, which was, what if that guy would have like talked to me in a mean way, or told me to put my head down, or to mind my business? Or what if I just perceived it wrong, and the lady, she said, oh, everything's fine, I just like to keep my head down, and he just kind of watches out for me. And so we all have barriers, and it's okay for us, not to intervene, or if we don't feel comfortable intervening, that's okay, because we all have barriers. Savanna, do you want to share yours? Or
like I've said many times, because I like to make it very well known, I'm very introverted. I am so awkward, it's not even funny. Like doing this stuff, it's fine. Talking to a big group of people, it's fine. But if I get one-on-one with somebody, or I think something may turn back on me, I panic. Like, I am so terrified of confrontation, it's insane.
mm-hmm.
And there have been several times, like I am a victim of domestic violence. And there have been so many times I wish someone that would intervene in my situation. And I keep telling myself, when I was in college, I'm like, when I get to a point where I can do that for people, I'm going to step in every chance I get, all of this. And I still don't, because I still am not comfortable with that. And that's fine. Not everyone wants to step in or can step in, because you can be right to the point where you are going to step in, you're going to say something to them, like Faith said, you've got it planned out in your head, and then anxiety sets in, or second thoughts step in, and it's just like, oh well, maybe the situation escalates right before you get to it, and it gets super, super heated, and you are just like about to open your mouth and something else happens. And it's completely fine to make a second guess and take a second look at the situation and back out.
Okay, so if you saw a situation happening, what would be your biggest barrier? You can answer it in the chat box. Do you get nervous? Are you afraid of what your friends would think? Do you start stuttering? Do you start sweating? Like, are you afraid the violence might come back on you? What is your biggest barrier? And you can
I will play devil's advocate here. Well, maybe you just think it's not your problem. It doesn't directly involve you, so why would you get involved? Okay. Got some good ones coming in. Okay, so see, afraid of making things worse for the person being harmed. Afraid people make fun of me, not knowing what's going on. Afraid to be, I would be afraid of what I could say and too much attention from others. So drawing attention to yourself, that's perfectly acceptable, because that was one of my biggest barriers. Someone getting physical or violent towards me as a response. Also being unsure that I'm reading the situation correctly. And that's a very important thing, because, if you see someone like coming through a fair, like a career fair like Faith did, something that we're handing out pamphlets, because I do that a lot as well, especially as a victims advocate. We do a lot of health fairs. You see someone for maybe 30 seconds, you maybe just be seeing a spat between two partners. You don't know. And something that could be completely harmless, you may be reading as a very dangerous situation. So it's best to take a step back and reevaluate the situation before you do put yourself in a situation that you may bump up against your barriers, or that you unfortunately may make it worse on somebody. So let me read a couple more. Nervous to be attacked, anxiety, could be getting yelled at, reactions that would come from my non-inclusive friends. And see, read one more. Someone getting hurt, escalating the situation even more. So a lot of good answers, guys.
Okay. All right, so here's one of the slides that might be triggering, but we're talking about current events right now and prevention. So if you need a minute to walk away, you can, or step away. So we're just talking about barriers, and we're all familiar with this story right now with George Floyd. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll give you a little snippet. Pretty much the officer that's listed on your right kneeled on George Floyd's neck for several minutes, to the point where he couldn't breathe, and he died, pretty much. And so with that, when I don't know if everybody's seen the video, it's kind of hard to watch, but with that video, and you see people recording it, you see someone recording it, and there's several people around, and also there's cops around too, with everybody's just pretty much watching. And when we think about barriers in the side of prevention, a lot of people have faced barriers with this situation because, one, of COVID-19. When you see the person recording, they're not right up on the officer and George Floyd. They're quote unquote 6 feet back, or however many feet back, and you hear people in the video yelling and saying, hey, because of social distancing, and social distancing is definitely a barrier right now, because you don't want to get COVID, you don't want to get sick or anything. So that's a barrier for you to not want to step in. Also, another barrier for this situation of George Floyd was the people didn't want to get like attacked either. They didn't want to get hurt either with the situation. What if they couldn't breathe? What if they got hurt, or what if, you know, they got shot or something, or it caused like a whole bunch of chaos? You know, there's a lot of barriers that we could all list and identify with this story. So with that, what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? Anybody? What can you do? You know, that is the question. What do we do in situations such as Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd, or in our own personal lives where we've experienced violence, or we've seen someone experience violence? What can you do? Yeah. Do something. So get involved directly with the situation that's going on. I know, as far as I'm going to keep referring to like George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery just because it's in our PowerPoint and it's a current event. But a lot of people shared their stories on social media. And they felt like that was something directly that they could do to like get involved with. But also a lot of people, they want to be able to like do something. They feel like they want to do something. So if you notice, pretty much everybody has to notice, the whole world is like protesting right now. Not just for George Floyd, but just like for justice, for peace. Okay. So people are doing something. They want to get directly involved with the situation that happened. Get someone else involved. Have someone else get involved in the situation if you don't feel comfortable stepping in yourself, such as a trusted friend, a teacher, or adult. Like, find somebody, say, or like right now, hey, you want to go to this protest with me? I feel like I'm being a part of something or doing something. Or hey, Savanna, she's one of my close friends, so I would call her, hey, Savanna, I really don't feel comfortable involved with this situation. Could you like help me or give me some advice? Like, I really just want to get someone else involved. I don't feel comfortable addressing the situation by myself. Okay. And then also diffuse the situation. How do we diffuse the situation? Do something to get the attention away from the situation. So as far as this goes, I mean, we can't really say with George Floyd, a lot of people are doing something with the situation to diffuse the situation, or Ahmaud Arbery, can't say that. But like within your personal life, within your personal situations, because these guys have passed away. But with their situation, with your situation, your personal situation, what is something that you have done to get the attention away from the situation? I know one time, a homeless person was getting beat up by another homeless person, and I was just driving. I just blew my horn. Like, I kept blowing it. And then eventually they both stopped and looked. And I think somebody also intervened at that time because they realized that I was just blowing my horn and they didn't know what was going on.
Yep.
So
and that's
I
all it takes
brought,
is a second.
Yeah, I brought the attention to others. I got everyone else involved, but I also diffused the situation. So now we're going to do scenarios. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So now we're going to do scenarios. I'm going to read you scenarios. And you can, after I read the scenarios, there's going to be a poll for you to answer what would you do in this situation. And before I read that,
oh yeah,
I want to let you guys know that if the situation that you're witnessing is getting too high risk, don't get involved.
Yeah.
Your personal safety is what matters most. Take a step back and see what's going on before you guys get involved in anything, because we don't want you guys to get hurt. We don't want you to be like, oh, well, Faith and Savannah told us to get involved, and then we're going to jail because you decided to be in a
and especially if you're getting
situation.
involved with strangers, and you know,
Yes.
it's perfect if it's different with friends, especially
Mhm.
as an adult. You know, I intervene with high school students all the time because, you know, I'm in the high schools a lot, and if I see something, it's easy for me to go up to them because I know them. But if you're, you know, at Walmart like I was, I didn't know those people really well. And
Mhm.
I didn't know if, you know, the male may have had a gun, a knife, anything that could harm me or harm me or my kids. And sometimes it's just not worth putting your personal safety. I mean, you can find other ways to intervene, but if it comes to a point that you are in immediate danger, take a step back and just don't.
Okay. So here's scenario 1. You see a couple arguing in the parking lot of the grocery store while you're waiting for a grocery pickup. You don't think much of it until the worker begins loading groceries into your car and you can hear how loud the intense argument is. The couple has made their way to their vehicle, which is parked a few spots down from yours. Due to COVID-19, you don't want to get too close to them physically. What could you do while practicing social distancing? What could you do to intervene in this situation while practice social distancing? Once your groceries are in the car, drive by and check on the couple. Ask the store worker to go get a manager to step in. Turn your car alarm on. Ask the store worker to check in on the couple. Okay. A lot of people said ask the store worker to go get a manager to step in, and then turn your car alarm on, and then it's a tie between drive by and check on the couple or ask the store worker to check in on the couple. Okay. Okay. Scenario 2. You are in a group text with a bunch of friends. They send a screenshot of someone's post off of Facebook, and they start making fun of the person. There's nothing wrong with the post. Your friends are just making fun of them of how they dress. You notice one of your friends making more comments than the other ones are. What would you do? What would you do in this situation? Send a funny meme that you found to break up the conversation and get off topic. Ask another friend in the group to message the one making the most comments and explain why that isn't okay. Tell the group that isn't okay to make fun of someone for any reason. Make the person that is making the comments the most out of the group and tell them that it isn't okay to instigate bullying. A lot of people said tell the group that it isn't okay to make fun of someone for any reason, and then a lot of people also said, or the second thing that they would do is to message the person directly who's making those comments and tell them that bullying is not okay. Okay, and the last scenario. You're at a restaurant grabbing a bite to eat with a friend. Everyone is out on the patio in order to comply with the social distancing guidelines. A group of males over from you are very loudly talking about how they have been sharing a female's sex with other people and making fun of them. One of the males starts to share the same person's nudes with the group. What would you do? What would you do in this situation? Go up to the male that is sharing this person's private conversation and tell them to cut it out. Ask your friend to go over and tell them to stop. Start talking very loudly about how it's not okay for people to share someone's personal pictures and texts. Okay, a lot of people said start talking very loudly about how it's not okay for people to share someone's personal picture or text. So thank you guys for sharing that.
Yeah.
So everyone can do something, right? Everyone can do something. So it's important to say that even though we give you the tools to intervene in a situation, you don't have to if you still don't feel comfortable. So even after all the things that we talked about as far as like prevention goes and how to intervene, social media or face-to-face, and you still don't feel comfortable intervening, that is totally fine. It's perfectly acceptable to not want to get involved. There can be many different reasons that keep someone from stepping in.
Yeah.
So that sums up our presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Or one question or two questions like this meme says, or you got all the questions?